Endless Battle Between Right and Left by Julie Green. There are right-handed people in this world, and there are left-handed people in this world. Oh, the endless battle, because everybody insists that they are right. But some people really do things extremely awkwardly and backwards. And when I look at those left-handed people, God, I get kind of dizzy watching them do those backwards, upside down things, and I'm like, how can they do that? Now, I'm a person who grew up as a minority person. Oh, God, minority rights. Here we go. Yeah, okay, I did. I don't. Okay, you've heard me talk about being Jewish, blah, 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 blah. You're probably sick of it. But yeah, I grew up a minority because I had two lefty brothers and a lefty mom. So, yeah. I used to watch, it was one thing watching those lefties do their handwriting. I mean, do you know that lefties twist their hands backwards, upside down, and awkward when they write? How do they do it? But then I had to watch my mom in the kitchen because she would always want to show me cooking because I was the girl. I was supposed to learn stuff. And she would like chop things upside down and backwards, and oh my God, how'd she do that? But she was supposed to show me like Jewish cooking and everything. It was great on the holidays. Everything backwards. And not only that, Hebrew was written, backwards without vowels. How is that? So it's perfect for those lefties, isn't it? Lefty writes, righties. Wait a minute, I learned writing, but if I'm right-handed, it's perfect for me. But what about the lefties? They don't learn writing, they learn lefting. Well, my mom told me that when she was a kid, she just narrowly missed being a forced righty. So she was allowed lefty rights, but is that righty rights? So she did not end up forced to be a righty. Now, I found out later on that if you're a lefty, if that's who you really are, a lefty, and you're forced into being a righty, what happens? It actually causes brain damage. And so what do we get? I bet you anything there were lefty activists marching in the street, stomping up and down in Washington and, oh, I don't know where else. Chicago, yeah, Chicago, Kent State, wherever. Militant leftists. What does that make me? Well, I'm a klutz with my left hand. I can't do anything with my left hand. Yeah, I can't, I really can't. I'm like so far right. That makes me a righty extremist, doesn't it? Oh, you don't even want to admit that to anybody these days, do you? No. Okay, so, I had these two lefty, brothers, and you know how it is with boys. Well, back in the day anyway, that's what they used to say. Boys fight, and they were little kids. So what did my parents do to keep the peace? They used to say girls were quiet and girls didn't, make trouble. That's what they thought about girls. So they had, when we sat at the dinner table, they always had plopped me down between the two boys to keep them from fighting. That was their idea of keeping the peace. But it was a little awkward. My dad used to always kind of point this out because he was kind of an engineer. He would say, well, Julie, you're sitting down between two lefties. My mom would point this out, too, because she was that lefty, always conscious of her left-handedness. So there where they were, sitting across from us. They didn't have to actually physically deal with the situation. My two lefty brothers, they were okay with their left-handedness. But, my dad would say, Julie, you're in the middle there, and you got to be a righty, outnumbered by lefties. Outnumbered by lefties. Righty rights. Oh my God. Stand up for your righty rights. Do righties get rights and then lefties get left? So it was the Bill of Rights. We get the Bill of Rights and the lefties get the Bill of Lefts. In the end, are the righties the only ones that are rights and the lefties that get left behind? I don't know. So my mom, even though she made her latkes backwards, but it didn't matter because it's Hanukkah and we're supposed to be speaking Hebrew anyway, without any values. So you can't really speak it because vowels are the only thing that make a sound. Well, anyway. So she would make latkes for like 8 nights. No. She made latkes. We didn't have to. No, they didn't last for 8 nights. We would eat them. But never mind. The oil lasted forever. The drop of oil lasted forever, and it's still burning. But let's face it. She made latkes, and they always came out perfectly, even though she twisted everything around and grated with everything backwards and up. I'm speaking from the other side of the planet. Everything is backwards anyway, and that happened a long time ago. And no, those latkes are dead and gone and buried. So anyway, she made the latkes and put them on our plates, and there we were sitting with me outnumbered, my 2 brothers, one on either side of me. Now across the table from me were my parents. My parents were reading the paper. Now, they did that in the evening. They would read the Boston Evening Globe, which is defunct. It wasn't defunct then, so it was still, well, they were still reading it. And, people think, well, they don't know what people read back then, but I can tell you because I remember. And facing me, which is what I remember, I didn't see what they were reading, but I saw what was facing me, which was Picture of Nixon, because that was what was on the front page. They were reading what was on the inside. Picture of Nixon, that was always what was facing me. I would see Nixon staring at me, the face of Nixon, who always seemed to be saying, "I am not a crook." But he was. That's what was facing. Was Nixon a righty or a lefty? I don't know. I don't happen to remember. But he was always staring at me. And they were always reading the darned paper. And so people think that because I ended up with an eating disorder, it must have been Twiggy staring at me. But she was never on the front page. It was always Nixon every single day. Or Vietnam. Nixon or Vietnam every single day. So that was it. Was this night any different from any other? No. That's Passover. This was Hanukkah. So there were my brothers, and somewhere a menorah was burning, but my brothers were sitting there with their latkes on the plates, and I was there to keep the peace, but I was right-handed, so it was a little difficult because we were going to do the elbow jab. That my father was always, he would occasionally mention that in some scientific way. And my mom was reading the paper. They were reading the paper because that's what they did. That's what they did. That's how, that was it. So we had our latkes. And my brothers, chomping away in their usual left-handed, awkward, weird style. But you eat with your mouth. You don't eat left-handed or right-handed, I guess. But, you pick up the silverware. Well, my fork, knife, and plate. But when you eat right-handed, your fork is on your left side, so you've got to reach over. When you bat left-handed, did you know? I know some of you don't have baseball in your countries. Did you know that lefties have to stand facing third base, not first? So they actually have to do a switcheroo and turn all the way around, 180 turn, and run to first base, but they're closer. They have a couple feet less to run. And righties have to step over first plate to get to step over home plate to get to first base. Yes, there are scientists that think on this for years and years and years and years and years. Oh my God, they debate it in the halls, in science labs. Oh my God, no wonder that doctor made so much money operating on Kurt Schilling's ankle. Oh my God. Anyway, the Red Sox were not winning that year and wouldn't for another few decades. So the mechanics of reaching over to the left side of the plate to grab my fork that night, which is not any different from any other night, were somehow, I just decided maybe I wouldn't bother. Maybe I was going to be a cross-hander that night Is that like a cross-dresser? And be a lefty. I was going to be a lefty convert that night. Just to like not make waves, maybe. Okay. Is that like deception? Grand deception that I was going to pretend to be a lefty that night? I don't know. But just that night, I was going to be a lefty. I said, I'll try it out. I'll try it out. I'll be a little open-minded. I'll try being a lefty. Just like my brothers, because they can do it. They make it look real easy. And my parents are reading the paper. So I'm looking at this lot key. My mom did a darn good job on it, because, you know, she always did. She always did. So, my dad crinkled the paper just now. Why did he always have to do that when he was like, and he cleared his throat. He must have been reading something about the economy. Maybe the price of gas. So, my brother's clicking his knife or something. My other brother chomping away. Okay, I'm gonna do this. I picked up my fork, and it's real hard to hold it in my left hand because my left hand couldn't do anything. I said, "That's it. I'm gonna do this." But I really couldn't, like, gently, gingerly do it with my left hand. Instead, it was in a real kind of don't tell anybody. I stabbed my lot key. Uh-oh. That was violence. Don't tell anyone. Well, the dog had a great meal that night. See you next time, you guys. Ciao.